Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea about the human heart. Specifically, what it takes to hold on to a feeling so it doesn't just, disappear.
I mean, think about it. You have this incredible flash of insight, this moment of deep connection, maybe a huge surge of motivation. And then, a week later, poof, it's gone. It's just a memory. So how do you actually hold on to those moments and make them last?
All right, so let's get into the source text. This line from Deuteronomy is pretty incredible. It's framed as this divine wish, right after a huge, powerful revelation at Mount Sinai. There's this worry, almost a sadness, that the people's amazing feeling of awe, it just isn't going to stick around. The text is basically asking the exact same question we just did.
So our first section, a divine wish. The text isn't really blaming anyone here. It's more about this deep, fundamental desire for a peak experience to become a permanent state.
And the solution it offers comes down to this one single, powerful Hebrew word, Shamor. It means to guard. But, and this is key, this isn't about locking something up in a vault. It's about building a constant awareness, a whole state of mind.
Next up, the meaning of guard. So what does it really mean to guard a feeling? Well, it's a lot more complex and honestly, a lot more interesting than you'd think.
You see, the word here is shmira. It's not passive at all. It's not about just putting a feeling in a box and hoping for the best. No, this is an active, ongoing process. It's about constant inner watchfulness. It's a way of life, not just a one-and-done action.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. The ancient sages actually saw two sides to this one word. On the one hand, to guard is like a boundary, a warning sign that says, hey, don't do this. But on the other hand, it's a positive instruction. It's saying, go ahead and do this, but do it with real mindfulness, with care. So it's both a protective wall and a call to be deeply engaged.
Now, this tension really comes to a head in one of the most famous commandments of all, keeping the Sabbath. Because get this, the 10 Commandments are actually listed twice in the Bible, and the word for the Sabbath command is different each time. And that tiny difference, well, it changes everything.
So, in the first telling, the command is Zachor, remember the Sabbath. This is linked to the first set of tablets, the ideal version. It represents love, or ahava, that spontaneous, positive inner fire. But then, after a major spiritual breakdown, the command changes. The second time, it's Shamor, guard the Sabbath. This is about the real world, the practical path. It represents awe, or yirah, that awareness of boundaries, the discipline you need to protect the ideal from just falling apart.
But wait, there's a twist. A brilliant mystic and poet came along and said that remember and guard were actually spoken at the exact same time in a single utterance, which means they're not opposites, they're not enemies, they are two inseparable parts of one single whole idea.
So how can two seemingly opposite ideas work together? Well, a really beautiful metaphor gives us the answer. Okay, think of a dove. Love, that ahava, that's one wing. It's the passion, the drive that pushes you forward to connect. But what happens if a bird only has one wing? It just flies in circles, right? To actually go somewhere, you need the other wing, awe, yirah. That's the structure, the discipline, the guarding that gives you balance and direction. You literally cannot fly without both. Inspiration needs a framework to survive.
And this brings us to a really critical point, especially for us today. It suggests that real, true spiritual depth, well, it actually requires boundaries. It needs a structure.
This rule isn't just some abstract idea. It shows up right after a story about a spiritual search that went terribly wrong. The warning is pretty clear. The power is in the system as a whole. The real value comes from engaging with it as it is, not by trying to customize it to fit our own preferences.
This is a huge challenge to our whole modern idea of DIY spirituality, where we kind of pick and choose the bits that feel good to us. The text is warning that without those guardrails, without the structure of shmira, even our best intentions can get lost, and that initial powerful feeling just gets watered down until it's gone.
So, where does all of this leave us? It all comes back to the heart. Not just a guarded heart, but a listening heart. And this is the final piece that ties it all together.
The ultimate path here isn't just about discipline for its own sake. It all starts with Shema, which means deep, authentic listening, truly hearing the call. That listening then creates Shmira, the will to guard and protect that connection with discipline. But here's the kicker. That's not the end goal. That discipline, that structure, is what makes the final step possible, acting out of ahava, real, heartfelt love and connection.
And that's the whole point. We don't guard just to be rigid or to follow rules. We guard the flame of inspiration so it doesn't get blown out by the wind. The discipline isn't the point. It's the trellis that lets the vine grow strong enough to actually bear fruit. It's the structure that allows for genuine, lasting, meaningful action that comes from a place of love.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. Look at your own life, your relationships, your work, your personal growth. What are the structures that you have that don't actually limit you but instead set you free? What is the guarding in your life that allows you to truly remember? Thanks for joining us for The Explainer.